Hey, what's going on, social media family? I hope this video finds you in a good place with God in life, a good place spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially. But if it doesn't, I've got a word that's going to really help you and encourage you. Also, it's going to stimulate your mind to really focus in on the prophetic words. When I talk to people, when we do mentoring, I like to explain two things. The word, the absolute 100% truth, the word. And then the prophetic words over your life. And as I've been praying recently, the Lord has been speaking so strongly about the word turnaround. And it's like what I feel over America and also nations of the world. Turnarounds are going to happen like a blanket, just wrapping over people, cities, nations. You're going to see a lot of turnaround in the governmental leaders. You're going to see different nations of the world getting the proper people put in the right places. I'm talking about local government, even into national government. Like, what I mean by that, like in some nations, you'll have like presidents or prime ministers, or some even may call them kings and queens still. Even down to local government, you're going to see a turnaround, okay? Also, you're going to start seeing a turnaround in different ministries and businesses. And what the Holy Spirit's been showing me about a lot of people, which can be ministries, businesses, churches, that the Holy Spirit, this was so strong, has been reminding me to tell people that He is going to remind them, why did you start? Why did you start? You know, I've had so many people over the past few months call me and ask me to pray for their ministries or their businesses. And I'd be like, well, why did you start? What word did you base it off of? And how are you stewarding that original word? And a lot of times the response is like, what? I'm like, everything that I do, the foundation's God. Everything that I do has came off of a prophetic word from God. Roar Church, our health coaching, YouTube, you can't see it because of the microphone, but all those books right there, all those books were a prophetic word God gave me and to write something. And so a lot of times people, they turn away from the original meaning of a ministry or a business. I know ministries that were birthed out of prayer and revival and the apostolic and prophetic and have completely gone seeker friendly. And these ministers are asking me, what do I need to do? And I said, you need to turn around and go back to the original thing. Don't just be a hearer of the word, but be a doer. The Lord has been speaking to me about the nations and a lot about America, that there's about to be a strong turnaround in our nation. What happens whenever a prophetic word comes out over a person, it could be a business, a ministry, the word comes out, brings encouragement, then there's always an opposition that they face, that they come against. Then the manifestation of something happens. Well, America has had a lot of prophetic words. There has been a huge opposition. They're trying to do the new normal on everything. If you haven't watched my last video on the Great Reset, a prophetic word, I speak more about that. But things are turning around. I've seen a lot of the businesses that Autumn and I have. I see a turnaround in them. I see a turnaround in the economy. I see a turnaround in a lot of people's spiritual lives. There's a lot of turning around. There's a lot of people having prophetic dreams right now that God is speaking to them about something. I was recently mentoring somebody, and they were just going through a hard time. I call it a hard patch. You ever see like a patch of something? You go through it real quick. And they had one dream from God. And He said, you're about to completely come through. what you're going through. You're going to see a turnaround in what you're doing. I've seen some people that I've been helping on some ministries they have, and they are having some miraculous turnarounds in their ministry. I'm helping a lot of people. I'm helping business with their business. I'm like their apostle for their business. And their prophet, I'm prophesying to them about their business. And these words are turning them around to where they're supposed to go. And so it's just a real exciting time in our health coaching business. I've recently seen a just moment where we just were thriving. Just like I look around, I'm like, whoa, our business just jumped. YouTube, just the last 4 to 6 weeks, just the views and the people responding have just jumped. A lot of the messages I've been speaking on Joe Joe in the morning, it has been fueling people's fires. They had like a little pilot light. Now they're like a campfire because there's a turnaround. Now, one thing is when the Spirit of God moves on people and they get that fire of God in them lit, it causes a turnaround. That's why I tell people you have to be listening. You've got to be reading the right materials. You've got to be listening to the right podcasts, watching the right YouTubers, because they will feed the fire that's in you. They will help flame that fire. And there is a great turnaround. Now, here is the problem. So many people are going to miss the turnaround. God is trying to do something powerful in nations. I've got friends in a lot of different nations, and they're messaging me. They're like, Joe, our nation is catching on fire for God. There's so many great things happening. You don't hear about it in the news or see it online, but it is happening. I'm telling you, my friends, there is a turnaround happening for so many people right now. All you have to do is you just have to tap in to the things of God. I know it's just, let's say that you have a phone and the battery's dead, and you just plug that phone in. All of a sudden that battery will start to charge. I'm telling you, it is the same way. Plug into the right places, the right people offering mentoring, the right people who will speak into your life. You know, books. I'm huge on books. Dear Lord, you ought to see my desk. You ought to see my audio books. I believe in books because it's wisdom and knowledge you can, have poured into you at all times. And this prophetic word turnaround is happening. But let's say that you turn around and you don't move forward. You ever been going in the wrong direction and your girl Siri or Alexa is like, make a U-turn? There's a turnaround happening. So wherever you're at right now, you can have a turnaround season. I had a friend of mine, real unfortunate situation. His wife went through some mental stuff, and she couldn't turn around, and they ended up getting a divorce. It was a real rough situation. And he was just kind of distraught. He's like, man, I'm in ministry. I never saw this coming. And so I was just ministering to him and helping him and mentoring him. And I just said, bro, there's a turnaround coming. He was single for a few years and met an amazing woman of God. And they got married. And they tapped in back into ministry and business. And both are thriving. A turnaround happened. I got some friends who's had some businesses and they didn't go good. just things happened. It just didn't go good for them. You know, a lot of times nowadays you're in a business and different policies in America changes or whatever, and you got to relearn some things. I've got friends who are in the medical field, some who do technical stuff, and they're like, man, technology is always changing. And so I just said, why don't you start another business and watch what happens? And they learned all the information they need to learn. They've started these businesses and they're thriving in them. So there's a season that things are happening, my friends. So I just want to encourage you today. There's a I guess you could even, it's the Holy Spirit, but you know, you could call it a turnaround spirit. I just feel like the weight of the Holy Spirit. Our last few services at Roar Church, when I just felt like something special was going to happen, and then it did. And so there is a turnaround happening. I have such an excitement in my spirit. But I felt the Lord want me to do this video because so many people will miss the advancing of the kingdom. God is always looking for somebody to partner with, to turn a nation back to Him. That's why people like Apostle Dutch Sheets does Give Him 15. This is why people like Apostle Ryan Lestrange is always putting out words. This is why Prophet Charlie Shamp is always releasing words. You know, there's so many people that are doing, they're helping a nation turn back to God. That's why people, you know, you can look at any technology, they're trying to create stuff in their mind. I don't always agree with all of it, but in their mind, they're trying to make a good living, but turn things around. That's why there's always people trying to bring change. You know what? This is the reason why Autumn and I started health coaching, because the product we use is a clean label product. We absolutely love it, believe in it. You know, I'm on a maintenance program with it. I love it. We coach. I love coaching people in it. Then we help people create their own health coaching businesses. And there's a turnaround in their health and their family finances. If they will do the work, that's it. That's why I do YouTube. That's why I do social media videos. Because just this morning, I probably had about, you know, just a ton, which you get hundreds, sometimes thousands of comments a day. But there were some that were like, you have no idea the words you release on a daily basis, how they help us. And so I'm like, man, my voice is making a difference. Well, there was a time I had to turn now see, here's the thing. I've had this turnaround word numerous times. And I'm going to tell you, God spoke turnaround to me about 4 or 5 years ago before I started really doing YouTube, before I started health coaching. And God said, I'm going to use you to help people turn. We didn't even have Roar Church back then. Roar Church is not even 4 years old. And so I received this word 4 or 5 years ago to start turning things around. It's about the time Apostle Dutch and Prophet Lana Voss were talking about a new era. God kept saying there's a new era going on and I need you to do some new things. And I'm like, okay. Don't miss this turnaround word. Don't miss this turnaround word. Some of you need to turn back to some biblical principles. This is as real as it gets. Some of you need to turn back to some prophetic words that's over your life. The most miserable people I've ever met are people that God told them to start a ministry and they won't do it. They're always frustrated with other people's ministry. People that's been called to start a business that are in other people's businesses are frustrated. I'm telling you, there's a turnaround. All right, I'm about to get off here. Love you. I want to pray into this word for anybody. Message me, joejoedawson.net. Go to the contact button, hit it, send me a prayer request. I want to pray into this word for you because I want you to have a turnaround. Okay? Love you guys.